Well, back home, farmers haven't stopped working to bring food to our tables despite the lockdowns and restrictions. And the Agriculture Department and social entrepreneurs have been providing them avenues to bring their produce closer to the consumers. But what's it like to be in the agricultural industry amid this crisis? Let's find out from Cherrie Atilano, a social entrepreneur and one of the World Economic Forum's 2020 Young Global Leaders. Cherrie, thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. During this very strict lockdown from March till May, you found a way to get food from farms to consumers. It must have been really challenging.
Yeah, Rico. Rico, thank you so much for inviting me. Yes, it was a lot of challenge on how to actually bring, the food from the farmers' fields to the consumers in Manila because during the lockdown, it's entering summer and it's also entering harvest season. So there are a lot of produce that are rotting on the fields, and there are also food shortage coming in Manila. That's why a lot of people are hoarding during the first 2 days when the ECQ was actually declared. In the agriculture sector, it wasn't that easy because the first week or 2 weeks of the lockdown, the farmers had no way to actually bring their produce in the city where they usually supply. Restaurants and hotels and big markets are actually closed. So they lost their markets.
Right.
And we've been, waiting for farmers to actually complain. And of course, we received so much complaints, right? First, they complained because they couldn't bring their produce in Manila. There are no trucks available. If there are trucks available, no drivers wanted to drive
That's
because
right.
they're afraid of the virus. There's like this COVID stigma,
Yes.
and at the same time, um, there's checkpoint to go through. Right. For example, we source our produce all the way from Mountain Province. It
Yes.
takes like minimum a dozen of checkpoints to go through. It
Wow.
wasn't easy for the
A
farmers.
lot of hurdles that you faced, Cherrie, over the last 3 months. But after changing the lives of farmers during this lockdown, you now have a grand plan to help non-farmers set up city farms to improve food security. And I was just taking a look at your Instagram post, and you said, why farming is a hot career? Let's continue naming farming sexy.
Yes. Rico, this pandemic just strengthened the issues on food systems. It's a global issue. We really neglected the agriculture sector. In the Philippines alone, our average age of farmers is 58 years old. Globally, it's 60 years old. Not a lot of young people are interested to go into farming. So during this COVID lockdown, it just like make people realize that how important food is, how important agriculture is. And I've been in the sector for 22 years. I started teaching farmers at the age of 12. And I said,
That
let's
long.
make farming sexy. And this is the time, I guess, that people will realize how important the role of farmers and at the same time, the role of agriculture as the backbone of our economy is,
I'm
should be
sure
given.
a lot of people want to make that career change but are still sitting on the fence, Cherrie. What will change their minds that being a farmer can be a profitable business venture?
Rico, agribusiness is always a long-standing business because everyone needs to eat, right? And it's essential. This pandemic actually, help us to reset and reflect that food is always essential and agribusiness is always essential business. So farming should not be a hobby for everyone. Those who are like weekend farmers or hobbyist farmers, it's time to really like go deep down to the agribusiness sector because it's a necessity. And second one, it's also a way of freedom. The moment you learn how to grow your own food, it's so sexy, to grow your own food. You
Mm-hmm.
know where your food is coming from, and it's a power that you can actually, live by what you have in terms of farming or what you harvest. And I really want to emphasize for a lot of young people,
Mm-hmm.
if you're hesitant to go into farming because you feel it's not a good profession, I'm telling you, it's the best profession that you can have now because we're entering a new normal,
Yes.
and this new normal demand us to be more resilient individuals. And
Let's
growing your own food will make you a resilient person in the process.
Let's listen to Cherrie Atilano, and she says, farming is sexy. Thank you so much for joining us on The Final Word. The founder and
Thank
CEO
you
of
so much,
Agrea,
Rico.
Cherrie Atilano. And here's some food for thought from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Investments in agriculture are the best weapons against hunger and poverty, and they have made life better for billions of people.